Alcohol tastes good. I like it.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
All right, kids. We're going to bring episode 201 at ya. This is the Tech Jedi, Adrian Hunter. By my side as ever is my hetero life mate, Reverend Mad Duck.
Quackity, the quackity.
Le quackity.
I'm getting all continental.
French duck na? Are you duck à l'orange? We're going to bring in you... Hi, how are you? We're going to bring you an indie pile this week, having gotten the Marvels knocked out last week and the DCs previous to that. It's a nice spring day, and believe me, I'd rather be outside for once. But we're going to bring you our patented shotgun approach to talking about books. What do you think, Rev? You ready to go?
What week is it?
A week? It's Indie Week.
Indie Week.
Like I just said.
I don't listen to what you say.
Yeah, I know. You giant ass. Even though I'm the one with the giant ass. Let's talk about War Stories 4. We start off a whole new arc. And one that's I'm rather appreciative of because something I knew zippo about, so I looked it up afterwards.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I knew nothing about the Yom Kippur War of 1973. We're given a sergeant in Israel with a tank battalion, oddly enough. Garth Ennis has to bring us some tanks. Oh my. So where was I? Tanks. Garth Ennis loves his tanks, man.
He does.
Which is just fine because there's some nice drama and action to be had with tanks. But we're given this sergeant as the main character, or at least the focal point.
Right.
And he just wanders around noting important Israeli engagements throughout history.
Yeah,
which is cool enough, I suppose, but where's the hot tank-on-tank action?
Dear Lord. It's definitely a... Filler issue is not the right word, but there's a lot of exposition and not a lot of actual content.
It's a setup.
I feel like historically, usually his World War II ones are stronger than when he ventures into other conflicts. So I'm hoping that this will be good. Yeah. But the war stories that he does in World War II tend to be more fun than the ones that are the other ones. So,
well, no, this was not fun. It was informative, and I do like my military history, but just set up.
Yep.
Just set up. So I did like the art. That was good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's solid, and like all of his war story stuff are usually interesting. But I definitely need somebody to get shot. So shit needs to change. You put a tank on the cover and you give me guys talking about Israel. It's like no. you fucked me over here in a way I was not anticipating.
Speaking of being fucked over,
oh super,
we actually paid for Odyssey 2.
I like Matt Fraction a lot. I think he's a really talented writer, and he takes some interesting chances. This is a mixture of don't care and don't like. That the art is very confusing.
Yeah, it really is.
It doesn't blend together well. The whole getting rid of all men thing.
Well, it's not that they're getting rid of them. It's they've never been there.
No, they were eliminated.
Way early in history, though.
Yeah, the guy,
the prehistory.
The goddess Zeus is talking about how after the third time of killing her own children, she decides to eliminate the new challengers by erasing all men from history.
Right, which would have been like pre-Titan era. So realistically speaking, it's dinosaur time. So
is it though? Because there's been 3 separate times where she's been attacked, so she decides to just never have that happen again. Like, the timeline for gods makes no sense anyway.
Which is still just ridiculous.
Right. But as far as concepts go, it doesn't seem to make any sense. And then the loose base on the Odyssey, and then I just don't care. I want this to go away.
There's a lot of lotus smoking and eating, and it's just like every other page they're talking. Have some more lotus. And
well, it's
I mean, I get it's a weed stand-in, but come on.
But in the Odyssey, the island of the Lotus Eaters was their first.
This is where they must have been, obviously.
Right.
But I mean, you can make your point once, and Fraction is on record saying he would prefer that his readers pay attention and think about what they're reading. So having it hammered at us that Lotus is involved, it doesn't seem to be consistent with his philosophy of I prefer my readers to be smart.
Well, he's making the graphic styling of it hard enough to fucking read in the first place.
That's not his call. He doesn't draw.
You know what? I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark. It has something to do with the artist's choices. Most writers do plot out to degrees, depending on the collaboration.
Well, I mean, maybe at this panel I want this to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's the stylistic choices of the art itself is not up to him.
But it's highly confusing. It's not a new idea. Like, hey, let's take a classic story and slightly change it up.
Yeah, and you know, just changing names and messing with genders is not particularly clever.
No,
and
not at all.
Oh wow, you added an S and suddenly it's Odysseia and now it's a female.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It doesn't add to anything. It really doesn't.
I'm neither intrigued nor interested in this. And again, I like Fraction. I like most of what he does. I just don't feel that this is a book that I'm going to revisit.
Yeah, well, issue 2 was a turn for you, though, because you were
that was
not
Bitch
hype,
Plan.
but positive on 1.
No, I didn't. If you go back and listen, I didn't love a lot of aspects of it, but I trust in Fraction. But I'm not seeing anything that's worth constant. I think changing character sexes, names to tell the stories that have already been told. It's not highly evolved writing, let's be honest. And artistically, I don't get it. I don't appreciate it. It's just not for me. Some people will probably very much get into this.
Well, I mean, it's got a hell of a lot of Twitter hype, but so does everything. So let's get away from that because I don't feel like talking about the goddamn book anymore.
Okay.
The next one is the penultimate Men of Wrath, which, while a quality book, I am glad to be having over because it's so unrelentingly grim. I've said it before, unsentimental.
I love Jason Aaron. I love Ron Garney. And Ron Garney is killing it. Such a good-looking book. It is so dark and bleak, though.
Yeah. I don't need any more books that make me want to put a 22 in my mouth.
It is not. Yeah, it's you're watching. By the end of this issue, I'm not even going to go through the issue as a whole because it's just misery. But the father wrath starts to evolve slightly towards his son, and the son starts to evolve slightly into becoming a man of wrath.
Yeah,
So-
by shooting his own damn pop.
Right.
Which seems to me to be justified anyway, because Ira is just the world's worst human being.
Well, no, his father might have been worse. The one that he put down like a rabid dog.
Yeah, well, there's that. Okay.
That's the sad part. Is this is the evolutionary change of the chain of the Wrathmen.
So, Reuben pops him twice and then leaves him to his own death or life, as the cancer and the bullets may determine off panel. But wow.
And then, and of course, now you have the big fight scene with the horse killing, witness killing, redneck mobster. It's so ridiculous on one level.
The redneck mob.
If this were a movie,
can't trust them motherfuckers.
You'd be like, this is just dark, man. But it's
Yeah.
good. It's not badly done on it. It's well written. The art is amazing. It's just no fun at all.
And I'm sure there's elements of fandom that are just like, this is an amazing book and I can't wait to read something else that he does like this. But that's not me. Not anymore.
But Scalped was also really dark, and we enjoyed that, but we never really kept going with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we came into it too late. There was already a bunch of trades, and we're too lazy to hunt down a lot of things. And I think Scalp actually has a robust back market, so it's not like, you know, we got to find the cheap trades because we're cheap. Anyway, that's Men of Wrath 4. Leaving us with one of your favorites.
What do you got?
Hellboy, 1952. His
Hellboy's first
mission.
adventure.
Yep.
With a team, we find out that some sort of Portuguese monkey-looking demon is floating around. Hellboy really doesn't know how to confront anything at this point, and is mostly just there to make people uncomfortable.
Pretty much, yeah. He's got nothing to contribute just yet.
There's a creepy-ass filmmaker with a weird chauffeur that invites them to the house, but one of the team members gets a highly justifiable feeling that we should not go into that castle.
That castle turned movie studio. That was different.
Yeah. And then Hellboy starts acting like the lead, which is cool. So he starts to make, and the team members start to follow up. The team is not being developed well at all. Like, it's hard to tell them apart.
It really
character.
is. I don't even know all their names. I think there's a Troy in there.
But one of them appears
Maybe a
to throw a
Bob.
grenade at Hellboy to end the issue. So, kind of a cliffhanger moment, if
Where
you
the
will.
hell did he get a grenade? I don't know.
Well, that was on his belt. They always carry weapons and ammunition because they're fighting monkey demons. And that is a nasty-looking little bastard.
That thing is horrifyingly nasty. That's bleh. But at some point, it amused me where Hellboy just sat quietly and had a drink with his old lady.
You were just the most terrifying giant red-armed red man that I've ever seen.
Here, have a beer. Or tequila, or whatever they had wherever the hell they were.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
It was fun. It was fun. I want to see what develops next. Oh, no, don't rip off the fat demon man's shirt. Ew. That's not true at all. This is a terrible movie. The Fade Out, number 4.
In which we finally return to our lead character.
About damn time. Because all that backstory was starting to kill me.
And it's resolved that he has a huge drinking problem.
So, Maya, Dottie, Charlie, and Earl, which is pretty much everybody,
Right.
go to a club for Dottie's birthday. So that's fun.
And it might be a date or it might not be a date, and it's suggested that it's not a date, but it actually kind of was.
Charlie gets introduced to this photographer who works blue, so to speak. It's rather explicit material.
Dude, I love Earl Rath, man. The CD lead actor character is hysterical.
There's some backstory during the war, and even Clark Gable shows up, for God's sake.
And Ronnie Reagan.
Yes, yes. But something goes wrong like usual, and the photographer's apartment burns.
Yeah.
I wonder why that could be. Could there be secret materials there that could be used to blackmail important people?
Well, it seems to be blown up by the guy that Charlie recognized in the photos with Reagan, but isn't sure from where. And we also find out Charlie has some backstory from the military experiences with Clark Gable that are not positive.
At all.
It's interesting they brought Clark Gable in because Earl Rath is such a B-movie version of Gable and
Isn't he
Douglas
though?
Fairbanks and Errol Flynn.
All rolled together in one pencil-thin mustache.
So I totally enjoyed that.
That's because you want a pencil-thin mustache.
No. Had to thinking about it. Had to picture it in my head. Can't support that.
I think we should get you blackout drunk and just do that to you.
Yeah, no. You know my wife has never seen me without a beard?
That's right. That's right. You've had it for so long. Which is just crazy talk. But crazy talk is also what happens in Uber 21. Aha. So, the Nazis have gone back to Russia on the orders of the Fuhrer, who may or may not be sein actual Fuhrer. Sieglinde goes up against Katyusha. Katyusha,
Cat.
who has been just annihilating Nazis by the fucking division with her just immense, horrifying halo effect. They're just like, all right, man, we're going over to zzz, you're gone.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool fight, even though like it was fairly one-sided.
Nah, Sieglinde is utterly no match for Maria there.
They tried to make it out as if it would be, and it just didn't read that way well to me.
Nope, it really didn't. I didn't see Sieglinde as having any kind of chance. I mean, Maria can transmute fucking air to steel, for God's sake.
I don't interpret that as Sieglinde being taken out, though. Like, I don't think the way this book has read, they would have taken her out off camera like that.
Yeah, either way, she loses. I mean, that's all there is to it. Maria is like, okay, I'm going home because I need to feed the Russian people with my Halo goo, which is just horrifying.
Who doesn't love a good Halo goo? I can't even say it. Like, I don't.
Nobody else says things like Halo goo. I don't know why we get away with it.
Because no one listens.
Yes, we have 6 people that ever hear Halo goo. Oh God! Now you got me not wanting to say it. Jesus Christ! Let's move on to Holmes versus Houdini 3.
Holmes and Houdini continue to have a very not team-based relationship. Contentious is such a good word. They both are working under half a plan, basically, and neither of them are getting anywhere with it.
Mrs. Houdini is desperately trying to make peace between them long enough to solve the murder, and it's just not working.
The local police show up and they want Houdini's act not to go forward. Houdini disagrees vehemently, resulting in a glass explosion and a highly perforated wife.
Yeah, that's no good. It just flat out impales her is what it does.
Which is the only thing that seems to be bringing Holmes and Houdini together, other than the letter H.
But this reveals the projector and the operator thereof.
Yep.
And Holmes starts to chase him down, finds Rasputin, whom he fights, and plunges to his apparent death.
No, because he stands up and announces that he's alive.
Well, from Rasputin's perspective.
No, Rasputin is down at the bottom going like...
From Holmes' perspective.
Okay.
It's been 2 months since I read
Rasputin falls to his death and then stands up and yells at Holmes from through life, death, and through death, life kind of thing. So he's literally standing there yelling at him.
Yeah.
So his apparent death is really not.
Well, Holmes was hoping. Let me have that sentence, man.
But it doesn't work. And the other interesting factor is that they attempt suicide through hypnosis, and it's obviously not. But Rasputin being characteristically mesmeric.
Yep.
You like that? Mesmeric?
That's a good one.
In an entirely different way, opens up different possibilities towards ascent. So now it's Holmes and Houdini versus Rasputin.
Which ought to end up very interesting.
It's fun. It hasn't fully engaged me yet, but it's definitely an interesting book.
Yeah. I like it. These Holmes books have been pretty good overall.
Absolutely.
There's been no flat-out stinkers with them yet. Holmes versus the Victorian Undead, Holmes versus Dracula.
That was a different series, but yeah, like the Sherlock Holmes character just allows for so much interest.
Yeah. So, speaking of Living Dead, let's go over to Revival 27. Good God, 27! That's great that a book like that has gotten 27 issues. And showing no signs of not getting a jillion more.
So the
cat nearly broke her own neck.
Jesus. The introduction of Revival Fish.
Which is just... What? I don't like Revival Fish, man. Dana goes to see Ed Holt, planning to fuck him up for taking Coop. But somehow he gets the drop on her, and she trips into a cache of his survivalist shit.
That he didn't even remember.
So that's very fortuitous for him, but very, very bad for Dana.
Well, he also finds a bunch of stuff. Like it's a double win. He captures her, and he's like, hey, I got way more canned peaches than I thought.
And weapons. and ammunition. Now, M, May, and that idiot, whatever, I can't remember what his name is.
I honestly, this book has gotten to the point of I can't recall anybody's fucking name anymore. There's so many characters.
I totally got to flip back and forth and make sure that I'm reading dialogue where someone is addressed, so I know who they are. And that's not really, technically it's a fault, because if I can't remember a character's name, then clearly they didn't make a big enough impression.
Yep.
But there's so many people flopping between so many scene cuts that it's just, it is difficult to keep track of who's whom.
No, particularly on a month-by-month basis. Like, reading in a graphic form, you'd have no real problem with that.
Oh, sure. But, yeah, the trio extraordinaire there come across what might be the Schmooze house and the aforementioned Reviver Fish.
At which point they find a reviver hanging out in the bottom of a, like, very weird... Like, they see his feet in the bottom of a well and pull him up, and he's kind of a zombie with weird fingernails.
That was some creepy shit.
The book is really upping the creep factor again, which is good. Things need to start happening again. Yeah.
And moving forward here, I mean, little reveals like what?
Yeah, like
see, there aren't any reveals.
Did you get the impression? What's the name of the which gray-haired man has the one eye?
That's Ed, isn't it? Ed, that's Ed.
I'm not even sure. But did you get the feeling he was a reviver based on?
No.
Okay.
I'm not nearly as perceptive as you are, if you remember
no,
properly.
Like the opening, it read almost like a dream. Like, did she shoot him? And he, like, it was very confusing.
I totally missed that part.
It definitely doesn't flow. Like, this is a book. I can't recommend Revival enough. It is a book to buy and go back and read in bulk.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you were to stop and go back and pull them all and read them beginning to end, you'd have way more appreciation for this than constantly diving back in a month to a month and a half in between. Like, what the fuck is happening now? Like, and you can't even have like a page. You need like an 8-page. You need a second book before this one. What's come before? Here's what you might have missed on Chuck. No, there's a ton of fucking shit. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculously good.
Like, you need a Silmarillion to get through the fucking Lord of the Rings of Revival. And nobody wants that.
Ed Holt begat.
And so did Legolas Ed walk by and trip on yet another rock named Vern.
There's one last thing that happens in this book.
Oh, what's that?
There's the mayor and that crucified reviver try to cut a deal.
That's not going to go well.
But you know who else they find? M, May, and Doofy. You know who they find?
What do you got?
They finally find Weimar. Yeah, you remember that shit.
Yep.
This is a very short stack of independent books this week.
Yeah, surprising. I'm assuming stuff didn't ship, or
a lot of stuff didn't ship. A lot of stuff stopped.
I know you had to go out and buy Lewis and Clark there, so that's
Manifest Destiny.
Yeah, so that's in a different pile.
Yes, there's 2 of those there. And I think I still got to get one, or it's late, because it didn't come in the latest shipment either. I try, but there's a 700 book list.
It's incredibly challenging.
And you got to go through line by line. I get that book, I get that book.
You can't type in the titles or anything?
Yeah, but it takes even longer that way. So I try to have the previous month's order form open at the same time, but then I just got to scroll through that at the same rate I scroll through the other one, and they're organized by the pages in previews, and shit ain't always on the same page it was the last month, so it becomes incredibly confusing trying to find shit that you had the last time around.
I can see that.
But I figured out a better way.
Oh, what do you got?
There's the Excel form, and then there's the list of things you actually bought on the website. So if I have that list open and the Excel form next to it,
There you go.
that'll be a whole lot easier to keep track of things. I'm going to try that this month. See if I can be a little more consistent with this stupidity.
It's art. Oh, this Dark Rising, there's fucking 4 of these films?
What?
Or, no,
Agency of Vengeance?
3 and then TV series.
Get the fuck out of here with this.
Dark Rising, Bring Your Battle Axe. Dark Rising, The Savage Tales of Summer Vale. Oh, maybe that was a TV series. This is very confusing. Dark
Whoa,
Rising
whoa,
2, Summer Strikes Back.
Ah! Teasing motherfuckers. Just when you think everything's going to be awesome. Blurry, out of focus side boob.
You're a sick man.
Yeah, well, you were looking for it too. Don't even fucking lie. But you know what else you were looking for?
What do you got?
Big Trouble in Little China 8. That is your book of the month every fucking month.
It is a great book.
Egg Shen. Such a hard egg. Really, fellas?
That is very weird. Like,
Egg and Miao Lin are presented to Lopan. David Lopan! And Jack gathers up some fighters, but he really doesn't have a plan, because he's Jack. He doesn't know what's going on. He was just like, if we get a bunch of guys together and then rush the motherfuckers, maybe that'll get us somewhere? I don't know. There's a big fight with Pete showing up, but Pete gets hit by a fucking motorcycle. Jack gets stabbed. Lopan and Jack both go to hell. And which hell do they go to?
the hell of torn best friend? I have no idea.
No, the hell of people killed in stupid ways.
Ah. But yeah, so they sacrifice Jack Burton to take out Lopan a second time. Dude, that's gotta suck. He's sitting there in the middle gloating like, I can have sex, and he gets stabbed full on. It's such an insane book. I'm so disappointed to find out that Powell's going to be leaving it, though, and there's a new team going to be taking over.
Do you know, do you want to jump off, or do you want to give that...
We'll give it a shot. I've liked some of Fred Van Lente's stuff. I know that he's sort of a kryptonite for you in a lot of things, but...
I had totally forgotten it was Van Lente.
But you also didn't like Powell for the most part, barring this book, so...
Yeah.
Maybe Jack Burton just translate past all that.
Or maybe it was just the other properties they did.
Who knows? So
it's difficult to say.
Worth a shot.
So we'll see. I enjoyed this, but again, that could be the property, or the other problems could be the properties. It's so hard to say.
You know?
Speaking of properties that I don't like.
Uh-oh.
Now, you turned around on this one, but I still think that Bitch Planet is an unconstructed universe that is just there to hammer home points.
I turned around as stretching. I thought this improved on what I thought was a terrible concept in the first one. The idea that they're using... First off, they're turning it into Hunger Games or some variation thereof, if you really think about it, which is not exactly awesome.
It's so bad. The father gives some speech about sports and dumb, vague assurances about clans and history and some horseshit blood games. And I just don't find the thing subtle or clever at all. The book finally dissolves into a, hey, let's put a team together.
It kind of... There's a lack of... Like, you look at how well Kelly Sue DeConnick's doing with Captain Marvel that we were just talking about in the last podcast, and there's a kind of a lack of subtlety to this that goes back more to, like, the Riot Girl comics of the 90s. The female empowerment piece, which is not a negative thing, but this isn't... And you've got, you know... They're, like, all different female body type characters. Like, there's no subtlety to this whatsoever.
No, it's made to drive home a point. But it's a point that needs to be addressed. But it needs to be... Well, if this is the kind of addressing that... You know, that doesn't even work. Because the kind of people who need to address this shit aren't the people that are reading Bitch Planet.
I mean, the aspect of it, okay, what are we trying to say here? Like, if we break it down to its very core element, women are equal to men.
Yes.
Let's say that's the message they're going, which is really, like, broad stroking to the extreme. But if that's the case, aren't we also saying that, sexist male societies, like, isn't that as sad a statement when you're trying to make this point? You see where I'm going?
No, you mauled those sentences
so
badly. I'm not certain what you're saying.
Isn't it almost as sexist? And obviously, as guys, we're going to look slightly differently.
Yeah.
But isn't it almost as sexist to be like, here's another patriarchal male society in which women are held down? Isn't there enough of that statement also? Like, shouldn't we be getting past that on both ends?
So you're saying don't fight fire with fire. You're saying make a book where
they're just equal.
The values you're looking for are apparent to begin with. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like, we've already talked about, like, the level of horrible dystopias that are firing off in comics all over the place.
God, they won't fucking stop.
Yeah, everything futuristic seems to be shitty. There's no even in the books we like, there's no optimism in space anymore.
Well, oddly enough, they Captain Marvel is largely a space book, and that's.
But even in that, I'm in creator world. Because obviously when you're dealing in the Marvel universe, you have to stay within certain
you've got
guidelines.
Limits on how dystopian you can get.
Exactly. So not entirely. And even then, you still have friggin' Jason X and the Spartonians, the stupidest fucking.
Jason X and the Spartonians.
So bad.
I would there's something else I would like to know about this universe. Now, I want to know if this universe became that way, or if it's literally in the beginnings of the mythos of this universe, has it never been any different? Because it must have been a change. It must have been better at some point and gotten really bad. Because otherwise, you're looking at futuristic Susan B. Anthony's with sass.
You do have a female prison guard character, or a female character who seems to be on the side of the patriarch. So it's not as black and white as men versus women. Thank God.
Well, it certainly feels like that quite frequently.
But this issue really brought it home. It's like, it's fucking Hunger Games. It's like, we're going to build a team, and like sports is entertainment to avoid looking at our society. And like,
that's exactly what it's saying.
If you're really dipping your toe into the divergent teen drama market of Hunger Games and Divergent, which I don't even know anything about other than the fucking word Divergent. I feel like,
I know the broad concept of Divergent, but it's just poor. But no, I mean, I think if you want to teach younger women who may not understand just how fucked up our society is and how played they have been in it, if you want to bring that to them, I think there are subtler, less... How do I even phrase this without sounding... There's no way to phrase it without sounding just total asshole.
What do you got? What are you trying to say?
It's harsh. And it's a harsh world, I understand that. I'm with you on that.
Again...
It's harsh and crude, and there's no room for anything but these people are absolutely horrifying people.
Right. It's you've got the lead character who's innocent of her crime.
Yeah.
Is being used as a pawn to make a team between the prisoners who want for their own reasons, and, for lack of a better term, the government, which has their own reasons. So you have this one theoretically moral character, where at the very least we know she's not the murderer that she's being presented as to the world.
Right? So far, so good.
So, yay, we've got one perfect character and everybody else sucks. Except the dirty dozen theory. The prisoners will be positive, and the government will be evil. Like, no, and no. Like, this is simplistic. Kelly Sue DeConnick's a better writer than this. Comics are a better medium than this. And once again, literally, we already have said this, more Roddenberry, less Orwell. Like, give me a future where things don't fucking wholeheartedly blow. Like, how hard is that?
And the other, I'm trying to understand the universe itself. This is clearly a future at least 100 to 400 years ahead of our known world, so to speak.
Right.
So the only logical thing that can happen in most future comics where the government and society is evil is that eventually that society and government is overthrown and changes begin to happen.
Yep.
Now, maybe she's going to throw us a curveball and the end game of the final arc is not going to be an overthrow of the government, just, some weird change or who knows. If she's a good writer, she'll totally fuck the expectations of people and whatever. But why hasn't a female revolution happened before this?
Maybe it has. The thing is, this book, and it's ironic because, of course, we're talking about Matt Fraction and Kelly DeConnick, but this book falls under the same category as fucking Odyssey, in which the base level concept doesn't impress me. Perhaps it will go somewhere. They're both talented writers, so that's very possible. I'm not going to stay with it based on what I'm reading to get there. So you're not offering me anything that interests me enough to stay and improve upon.
No,
maybe, as you're saying, maybe she'll veer and things will get better. I don't fucking think I'll see it because I ain't gonna read it.
Because right now, you get this impression that this universe has always been that way, but that seems like a cynical damn way to build a universe.
Right.
Which means, and she's aware, but she's never seemed cynical to me.
Yeah.
And she knows the real world is fucked up, so she wants to reflect that to some degree, so that people can get the idea. You know what? We need to make sure that everybody gets their fair fucking shake, and nobody is given any shit for their gender / appearance / sexuality / economic tier, so to speak. I guess is one way to put it.
Yeah.
But I want to know how the universe is. I don't know. Is it just a pseudo-logical progression from, feudal times, or is it just... I just want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know why that world is that way. If her end answer to that question is, it's always been that way, then fine. I find that silly, but fine. If she has some big, chain of events that women just took and things got this bad, then I want to know that too. But I've read the third book and it's not getting us there.
Yeah, I feel like if you want me to come along on the ride, you have to make the opening of it interesting. It's a roller coaster theory. You have the big drop to start off to get you, so you don't start going up the damn thing and have a good time. The first drop is the fun part. If you wait too long for that, you're just on a fucking track to nowhere.
I don't know, that's a good point, because a lot of comics these days are starting with the slow burn.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to make it interesting to build up. If I'm intrigued and I'm liking what I'm reading to get there,
yeah.
Revival dropped you right down. Hey, here you go. Same with Saga. Those are both great books. You have to have a big jump, even in a slow burn. You can go from there slower. Why the Last Band had a very slow build, but there was a huge motherfucking drop. Men are all dead.
Yeah.
Chaka, 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 chaka.
And I was thinking Trees as well.
Trees had a huge drop in the theory that, okay, there's these giant alien trees on the planet.
Well, that wasn't a drop. They existed before issue 1 began. So that was the history of their world already. It wasn't an event that started the series.
Right. I'll give you that, because could have been a big drop, but it was presented in a way that made it very dry, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it went nowhere.
Which kind of drove me nuts, because it would have been nice to have a science fiction book that, had anything to it.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that horse shit.
What do we got left?
Wait, that was it.
That was the final?
That was the whole fucking thing.
That is the tiniest indie weekend forever.
Ever. That's the smallest indie we had in
Oh,
years.
I thought Gru was
Literally
in
years.
there.
What? Gru? I didn't read it.
You motherfucker.
You want to talk about Gru? Tell the people about Gru. What did you like about Gru?
All right, so Gru has a 12-part series going on called Friends and Foes, in which each issue involves Gru running into one of his supporting characters. This issue is based around Captain Ahax, a truly unfortunate captain, because if you're going to be a supporting role player in Gru,
Yep.
you don't want to own a boat, because Gru has several defining characteristics. He likes cheese dip, he stabs people, he's very dumb, and every time he's on a boat, it sinks.
Are you real with the cheese dip?
Yeah.
I had totally not known that.
So, Captain Ahax finally comes up with a plan, which is to sell his boat, sell his inventory, overpay a crew, counting on Gru to sink his ship. And so, of course, this fails to happen. So everything, as this goes on and on, all that goes on is Ahax hoping that his ship will sink, and it doesn't. So he gets arrested and sued, and then in the harbor, when Gru goes and retrieves the sword that he stabbed into the bottom of the boat, for no fucking reason, the ship sinks. And Captain Ahax literally goes insane. So, this is classic Gru territory done in a new way.
Total Gru. That's everything you've ever known about Gru.
But this is the series for you to read, because these are going to be fun one-shots, not the Gru versus Conan that was driving you nuts by the fourth.
Okay.
This will be a lighter and constantly re-switching. I think there will be a running story through it, but each time you're going to have a new character coming in. The next one is Gru's grandmother, who's a gypsy woman who can't stand her son or grandson. So that should be pretty damn fun.
All right, well, that's not a bad note to end things on then.
Beats the hell out of the other
one. I still want to talk about that, but I don't want to talk about that. So let's call this a day, huh?
Bless you, fuckers!
And away.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.